What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting all the way across the city from me this week and every week, he's the king of all VR kings. He's still the king himself. It's Jeremy King.
Hey, there I am. And there across several states, I can see him from here, a little bit to the left or right, I don't know my geography of the Statue of Liberty. Out in New Jersey is Mikey, Sensei extraordinaire.
Mikey, thank you so much for being here, man. One of the OG cats. You were here before PSVR even, right?
Yep.
Yes, I've been here for quite a long time. Always the shenanigans. That's what ruled me in the beginning, so we're still here. And it's awesome.
Right? I'm happy that you're still here, even though the shenanigans are long gone.
He has glued a hair to his face for every year he has been a part of this community. That's many years. Look at it.
That doesn't check out at all. Listen, if you're curious about Mikey Sensei, the extraordinary, the amazing, the awesome moderator and game cat, please head over to patreon.com/withoutparole games, where we're going to hang out and have a nice long conversation with Mikey after we're done filming this show. That being said, what game did we decide to play this week?
The Room VR, A Dark Matter.
That's right, a Room VR Dark Matter version 1.01, which fixes some minor bugs and improvements, nothing noteworthy though, by Fireproof Studios, released on March 26, 2020 for $29.99. Mikey, what kind of game is the Room VR, a Dark Matter?
I would say it is first and foremost, a puzzle game. Some people may say it's an escape the room puzzle game. So there's that, but I mean, I could see it, but it's just at the end of the day, it really comes down to a very fun and innovative puzzler that meshes two of one of my favorite things, Hellraiser and Myst. If you like either one of those, it's right up your alley. And it's full of thick chocolate atmosphere and spooks that never come. It's just to keep you on the edge of your seat. But it's fun.
That never come. I want to put a pin in that and come right back to it after we're done. Talking about this genre, I mean, I go super generic when I talk about this. I call it escape the room kind of style game. These guys, Fireproof Studios, they're the ones who made the Room series on iOS, dating all the way back to 2012. Like, for me, that was the beginning of escape rooms, but I mean, they obviously could have been around a lot longer than that. I don't know everything. Jeremy, do you fall in line with Mikey and I? Puzzle game, escape the room. What are you feeling about this?
I would say that definitely is not an escape room. Not in my feel. I definitely think it's definitely more of a point and click adventure game, if you will.
Nice. I like it. And we're going to talk a lot about pointing and clicking soon too. But let's talk about this whole horror element first and foremost. It does kind of give off this horror vibe. I mean, you know, when you start off and you're in the police station and like you're solving puzzles and like these vines just start growing out of things, it seems like it's gonna scare the crap out of you. But yeah, I don't think I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, but I can't say I ever jumped. What about you guys?
I have not. There's a few things in the imagery in regards to the said vines / tentacles, which is why it makes me feel like it's a bit Lovecraftian in that manner. It makes you feel like cringy, but it doesn't get to a point where that cringe builds to like scaring you. Aside from me getting scared by the natural elements of thunder and lightning, like, you know, sad little dog. You know, there's that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now you guys have played through this entire thing. What are your thoughts on the story? A lot of times escape rooms or puzzle games sometimes eschew the story altogether, but it seems like there's a lot of it here, and it kind of just most of it went over my head. I got a good feeling of what I was doing, like investigating and stuff, but like as far as the actual story is concerned, if you asked me to sit down and write about it right now, I'd be like, I have no fucking idea where to start.
Yeah.
But Jeremy, do you have any idea what this story was telling us?
You know, I feel like Mikey's got a better sense, so I'll say what I thought, and then we'll see if I'm correct. I think there was some guy that tried raising some mummy or doing something involving a mummy, and he didn't do it.
Good for him. Good.
That's kind of what I'm thinking the story was. Had something to do with mummies, and it didn't happen. And now, Mikey, how close am I?
That's about a quarter of it.
So I had a,
But that's pretty much putting a staple in the location because if you fast forward to later in the game, which we don't want to give spoilers away, it kind of continues that whole Raiders of the Lost Ark theme. Is
yeah,
what I'm getting from it. It's around that early time period of like resurrecting history and having all this different kind of alchemy and like mechanic, puzzle, wizardry. I don't know what the hell to call it, but and they're messing with something that they shouldn't be messing with, and it's shown proof prior from the evidence given to whoever the Watcher is. It's Watcher, Seeker, Watcher. Seeker's Harry Potter, right? Watcher's this game.
with the
Watchers.
watch was
Regardless,
the letters we received, right? That was
yes, you
okay.
get
All right.
letters throughout, which give you the story that Brian was telling you about. But for me, like the story, while it's not really lackluster when you really pay attention to it, I was just so excited to get to the puzzles. It's very well done in the style of the time period they're trying to portray. Then there's a little bit of Victorian in there too. There's a lot of paintings with women grasping their boobs. Very dramatic Victorian. Kind of. It's so weird. It's so weird, but like I love it. I'm here for it. Everything meshes well together.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's funny that you actually mentioned Raiders of the Lost Ark at one point because for me, I'm getting this. I always had this feeling that I was Indiana Jones or Henry Jones, and I had the Grail Diary that was
Yeah.
prevalent in that, and I was finding pages from it and using that to kind of like unravel the mystery. Guys, before we even really get into like the different like how the puzzles are solved and how all that works, I want to ask you if you had a favorite stage. If my memory serves, there was the police station introduction stage, the museum, the church, a country house, and then like an excavation site. And I think those were all the stages. Did you guys have a favorite amongst those?
Mine was the museum. I was living my Indiana Jones fantasy by dealing with the sarcophagus in the first place was amazing, and like the slow reveal of how to get it open and like when it happens and how you're like what we said before about the atmosphere laying it on thick and you're thinking something's going to come up and something's going to happen and you're just like on the edge of your seat opening these things with caution. It's just like, all right, something, this is not good. This has bad written all over it, but you're still like, yes, let's see what this box does.
Yeah.
I think to me that was it. Like that gave me a lot of like explorer slash supernatural slash Hellraiser puzzle box vibes.
I think I'm on the same boat. I think the church was, I mean, not the church, the museum was my favorite just because everything was there. You could see the areas, you know what I mean? And you're like, you'd get something, you're like, all right, I'm going to check over there. And you could go over there and, the puzzles just seem to flow so well. The witch's hut or whatever that, towards the end, that I felt visually was my favorite, but challenge wise I flew through that one. Like I flew through it. So the most difficult I thought was the church. That one was quite the organ and whatnot, but yeah, definitely without a doubt my favorite was the museum because it really set you up and it really just let you loose. Here's the real game, the puzzles and with the lenses, and you started seeing all these elements come together and how the puzzles work together and the layers which you build upon the puzzles. So I loved it. Thought it was great.
Yeah, there's a part of me that wants to just say the police station. Like I thought it started off with a bang, and I absolutely loved the safe cracking puzzle because it was pretty straightforward. Like it was sort of like, oh, this makes sense. It didn't go crazy extreme like, oh, we're moving the moon and the sun and stuff. Like it gets real weird later in the game, but at the beginning it feels a little bit more grounded, and I kind
Yeah.
of like the a little bit more grounded element. And then there's other parts of the game where like you shrink down to a really small size, like you're inside of a puzzle box.
Having played the other three entries in the series on iOS, which has always been a like really cool mechanic, even on a flat screen, like with touching and manipulating it with your finger, like because you had to use a touch screen, that was the mechanic for that. But experiencing the going into the puzzle boxes in VR is pretty amazing. The first time it happened, I'm like, oh, no way. Are you serious? This is awesome. I'm sure my neighbor was like, who is he talking to? I feel like this is a culmination of all three of those games. Like they took all ideas from all three of them and put them in one like greatest hits mix. I mean, none of this is repeated in the other games, but as far as the mechanics go,
I dig how they break up the puzzles like that, how it does add a bit of fantasy to it, because I know I've mentioned in the past The Journey, The Longest Journey, was one of my favorite point and click adventure games on PC. And that had definitely a bit of fantasy, big time. But this, I liked how they broke it up and they layered it. You had the real world physical, here's puzzles, doing this, moving that. Then you put a lens on. Now I can reach through shit and I can manipulate the puzzle. And now I can even shrink down into shit, go into this, unlock and do these things to these lockpicks on the inside or whatever the puzzle might be, and then go back out. So I thought it was great how it wasn't too abruptly fantastical to make me feel removed from it. It was just the right amount. So I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking going into this keyhole right now, you know. And there was no like, this is stupid, but I thought it worked great. I thought it was just the right amount for me personally, you know.
Yeah, no, I like that stuff too. But it was like what do I like the most? I think was, where I was coming from. But yeah, I'm glad they did that again because it kept mixing things up. It made it made every level feel different, and it really started making you feel like you're working within the level, like not a microscopic degree, but a much smaller degree to make small things work for the bigger picture. And so yeah, no, I loved all of that for sure. So yeah, maybe it's time to talk about how this thing actually plays. We've taken a long time to get there, but
Yeah.
And I think maybe we should get the really painful stuff out of the way first. The stuff that is going to bother a lot of people. Which, if you played the game, it might not bother you, but I guess we're about to find out. This game uses node to node teleportation only. There's no full locomotion. There's no free teleportation. It is you can jump to this place, or that place, or that place, or that place, and it forces you to kind of go in those places, and it's click turning, right?
Yeah.
Click turning as well. So that's going to turn off a lot of people. But Mikey, what did you think of this style of movement for this game?
okay, so I might be this might be a little subjective, but for me, being a fan of puzzle games and like Myst, Riven, point and click games, this kind of game is the kind that is on brand for taking you to a specific spot and going there, especially with them incorporating the mechanics of including multiple puzzles within a room to keep the cohesion together. You'll be wandering around that room. Like there's just going to be like so many you're going to be holding your highlighter out and just being like, what's going to react? When's my hand going to open up? When's it going to clench a fist? When is it going to give me an indication that I could actually tangibly touch these things? Yeah. So with those nodes, I think it's great. I'm glad they didn't allow me to walk around freely. If we're doing the room one, which was just literally a podium with like a puzzle block that you had to figure out, that one puzzle block that had so many layers to it, that's different because you're going to different podiums or you're going to different stands and you're messing with these boxes. With this one, you have to like look out the window and you got to do this, you got to do that to like. Thank you for putting me in frame of the idea of what I'm supposed to do. I didn't use the hint button not once because I just visually understood the language it was trying to speak as far as the puzzle was going. The one thing I hate is that they didn't have a 180 button.
Yeah.
Because I mean, click turning, yeah, all right, cool, whatever, fine. It sucks, blah. But like I'm going from one puzzle that I'm facing, I have to go to the other side of the room. And now I'm click, 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 click,
Yeah.
click, click. All right, there it is. Boom. Instead of just hitting one button that just goes shoop and you're just 180 and then you're just flying around the room. Like that's the only complaint I have about the node teleportation. Otherwise, it's necessary for it to be there. People would get frustrated as shit if it wasn't there. And yeah, there's that. I mean, that's coming from a puzzle gamer.
Yeah, 100%. I am so glad they put the nodes. They did it on purpose to keep you on track to solve the game instead of rage quitting, you know, because it brings you to the places of importance and everything else is just window dressing. So like in a game like this, if I had free range to move around, I would be looking in every corner, every book. Is this what I'm supposed to grab? Is this? And my frustration would have been, and I would have been out the door, you know, I would have been done. So I'm glad that it kept you on track saying you could go to this place, this place, this place. Then when you further solve puzzles, some other nodes might pop up. But yeah, the click churning, not even the degree. It was like a 10-degree. It was like for you to like turn around. That was a pain in the ass. But you get so used to it after a while. The controls were very basic, and you know they were basic. They were just what they needed to be and nothing else. But I do wish they could have smooth churning or just 180, you know, something to get those little churns to be a little bit quicker. Because, I mean, that was it. I mean, it might shave like 6 minutes off your playtime by having that 180 thing, you know, which is pretty significant based off of just these little incremental churns. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I think they're necessary.
Yeah, there's a part of me that says, you know, obviously, I'm like, oh, I totally 100% agree with both of you guys. It makes a lot of sense. It's like, okay, well, the puzzles are here, 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 and here, and thank you for pointing those out, game. Thank you, Fireproof team. But then there's a part of me that says, you know what? This game doesn't last long enough. And one of my big complaints about it is that it's only a certain length of time. How long did it take you guys to beat, roughly?
3.5 hours.
Wow. I think it was like closer to 5 or 6. Holy shit. Jeremy?
I was about 3.5 to 4, I would say.
I hate both of you. This is ridiculous. But I've proven over and over that it takes me.
I'm a mist guy, man. I'm like I'm used to give me a notepad and a pencil. Like I didn't need that for this. You know what I mean? So it was. It did. Some rooms did take longer than others. The church was one of them.
Yeah.
Because you know there's so many different places to go and there's so many different elements that cross contaminate the other puzzles.
Right.
If that's a word to use for the game.
Absolutely. I was thinking that's the perfect word for that, especially that room.
Yeah.
No, I'm right with Mikey too. I mean, with playing, it's one of my favorite type of PC games is, and I just wish that console was able to, like RTSs. Consoles just don't do it that great. Yeah. You know, PC was my point and click games was what I did. I loved it. Everything else came after. So the style, everything, I'm 100% about it.
See, so here's the thing. For me, again, it took me 5 or 6 hours because I'm slow. But it was also, I also enjoyed the challenge. I enjoyed wandering around going, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like looking at every single thing because I was, you know, raised on point and click Lucasfilm or Sierra adventure games. And so there was a lot of me just walking up to every single thing in the environment going, look at this, look at that, typing it in, you know, for the old King's Quest games or, you know, Monkey Island and Loom and Maniac Mansion, Zack McCracken, all those games, just like putting the cursor over literally everything on the screen until something happened, right?
Yeah.
And like, and there's a part of me that like really likes that stuff. And so for a game that only is going to take like 5 hours for me to beat, I kind of wanted there to be a full locomotion and for me to explore every single useless corner of this place so that my 5-hour experience could have lasted 20 hours. And so in every puzzle victory would have felt even more rewarding. So I'm like, oh my God, I figured out where the puzzle was. Forget about solving the puzzle. I figured out I had to be over here because the game never told me. And so there's a part of me that wishes that there's like a super extra hard mode that just lets you wander around and says, fuck it, man. You know, but like for anyone else who doesn't have that kind of patience, be like node to node works.
There's a lot of different factors. I get what you're saying though. I totally get what you're saying. It would be nice to explore because the environments are that beautiful. Like they are that detailed. And especially in the headset. And the headset looks great. Even that one part where you're mixing the cauldron and then you put it together and it does this like weird like ripple effect and hardens. And I'm like, what is this? Trickery.
Right? Yeah.
It's cool.
What did you think of the overall challenge of the puzzles? Because I felt they were, it's weird because, you know, in hindsight, reflecting back, it's like maybe they weren't challenging. But when I was in the game playing it, I felt that it made me use my brain enough, but might not have challenged it enough. Where I would have a puzzle and I'd be like, huh. And then like, maybe, yeah, it's got to be this. You know, like the one puzzle that stumped me where I actually had to quickly look up something on YouTube was because when you shrunk down and went to that box in the church with the highlighted the glass that you had to shift things for the color shape. That thing, it's like, this is the color, they match identical. Why is nothing happening when I leave? There was no real indication. And so I watched somebody simply like go in there, do one quick thing, and then leave and turn the little lever on the box. I'm like, God damn it, I didn't do that.
It gives you a little audio cue to let you know that you're in place.
Yeah,
Like when you have the colors in place, it goes shing. I mean, I'm
yeah,
not exactly that, but
Yeah,
pretty close.
I was
Yeah.
actually
but it,
surprised. Those I was expecting those to get way harder, and I got
mhm,
all of them within seconds. And I was like, "What?" Oh,
yeah,
I was actually scared every time I went into one of those because I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is going to be the one that finally stumps me and pisses me off." And it never happened. I was like, "They never even got harder." It's like, "Boom, boom, boom, done.
Yeah.
I'm out of here."
Yeah. They were all
it was
pretty easy.
more harder to find those actual stained glass emblems for
Yeah,
you to utilize them. That was the hard. That was where the challenge was for those puzzles. It was just like, where is it?
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
did think overall though the challenge was perfectly balanced. I felt like there was enough of those moments that
Yeah.
made you feel good about yourself, being like, "Go ahead,
Yeah.
Brian, just breeze on through it because we're about to fuck you in a second." I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
boy,
Yeah.
here it comes," you know. And then
Yeah.
you're like, "What the hell am I supposed to do?" And then like for 20 minutes, I'm wandering around going, "I have this thing and that thing," and I'm like, no, it's not happening. I was like, it's like maybe these two, no, and so I like that. I like the ebbs and flows of being like, okay, like this is gonna get real difficult, but then right after we're gonna let you breeze through a few minutes of the game. So for
Yeah.
me, it was perfect, and there's no way for it to be perfect for everybody, right? And I'm sure some of the easy things for me were difficult for other people, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It didn't really waste your time, I guess, is what that was. You know, it wasn't trying to mock your
Yeah.
time and say, hey, I know you got all day to try to figure this out, but let us just laugh in the background while you're pulling your hair out trying to figure out this puzzle. And
yeah,
it was none of that. I felt it was perfectly balanced, like you said, very fair.
for sure. Before we before we get to our rating, I know that Mikey already said that he didn't use the hint system even once, but I thought the hint system was really good. I only used it once, and then like experimented a little bit more for review purposes. It's a three tiered hint system, which is great, man. Because like if you don't want to just know the answer, you just check the first hint, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that was enough. I'm good. Like that was enough push in the right direction. I'm getting the feeling since Jeremy actually used YouTube to solve a puzzle that he was abusing the fuck out of this hint system.
So, yeah, I used it a few times, and it's funny. It's funny because it was like I would just be like clink, just to read it and let go, and it's like, yeah, I kind of knew that was next, and then I just kind of like pulling the tabs and reading them. I didn't do it for every single one, but I want to say that I probably pulled 6 or 7 tabs. I would say through the game.
Okay, not
Yeah.
horrible, not great,
No.
not
So,
horrible.
so
No.
you saying
Yeah.
that's pretty much just like how it is on the iOS, because that's the only place I ever used the hint system, and they do tier. It's kind of a little push, push, push. So you want to figure
so
this out and still
subtle.
call it your credit. You still want to take the credit for it. We'll give you just a little nudge to the right direction, and
Yeah,
you can
and
still
there's
pat yourself on the back afterwards because you didn't get the whole answer from us.
yeah, it was like, oh, there was something shimmering on that table I was just near. So that was like the kind of a hint. So I'd be like, yeah, there was something shimmering there. Why the fuck did I read that? It's like it was obvious, So I'd go back to the table and then I'd be like, aha. But yeah, I think it was just amount. It wasn't giving you the answer. It was just enough to be like, see, we knew you got the answer, Jeremy. It was like that. It made you think like, I solved this, not the tab. You know.
Well, I know we could talk so much more about this game. We really could. Final question before we get to the rating, and if there's anything else we want to add about the game, feel free to add it in your rating. I'm scared to even ask. Jeremy, did you use the DualShock 4 or the Move controllers?
Yes. Fucking DualShock the shit out of that game. Yeah.
I quit.
Yeah.
I quit too. I
are you
quit
doing?
too. I quit too.
Yeah.
And I knew it too.
What do you have against Move controllers, man? This game is perfect for Move controllers. Yes, you can. Okay, just a heads up, everybody. You can use DualShock 4, and it's
Yeah.
very, very similar to using one Move controller. There's like a hand, and you reach out in the world, and
Yeah.
it's
Pain in the
like
ass.
just not fun to interact with the world this way. But Move controllers actually give you two hands to kind of like, because there are things you pull and move and levers that boom and that feel really good. And I know Mikey knows what I'm talking about because you like to enjoy games instead of torturing yourself like our other co-hosts do.
Okay, let me Jeremy, you know I love you,
Yeah.
right?
We're about to get that in question now.
I did just for the sake of this episode, and also for the sake of not having used my Move controllers in a while, and I had to let them charge a little while, but I didn't want to wait for them, so I used the DualShock in the beginning.
Hey.
Look, hey, he's got an excuse, okay?
Yeah, I had no.
We'll have to wait
You've
for
got no excuse.
My moves were fully charged too. I just was like, nope.
So definitely no excuse, because I, after having to fiddle with the DualShock, don't understand how you've made it through the entire game with just the DualShock. Given that little source of light in the front of the damn controller, that is all you have as an indication of a tool or a hand.
I had to
So
move
like, if you have to
that.
twist everything, so if you have to twist, I'm like, what am I doing? It's like the hand's going like doing all this crazy crap, and I'm like, I'm really just trying to turn. And it's just not happening. Like, it's hard because you some of them are like 360 turns or 180 turns, and it's like you can't do that. You have to make sure to it breaks immersion, because you have to make sure your light is facing the camera. I do love the way the move controllers work in this game, and it makes things a little bit more tangible, and like your brain clicks easier when you know that your hand motion has to do this, and when you don't have to think about, wait, my hand can't turn that way because it's not facing the camera. Let's do this, I got to experience both. The moves are definitely the way to go. Jeremy, I give you so much credit. You definitely took one for the team with that one. Or you're just a pro at it, and you just start giving some tutorials.
It's like making a pizza with your foot. I got it down pat.
Would you please stop encouraging him? I have to do this with him every single week. Stop encouraging him when he's the DualShock, okay? All right, you guys.
Sorry.
I think it's time to rate this sucker. Jeremy, what's our rating scale this week?
One, fucking pause this fucking video, buy the goddamn game now. You need to get it. Who cares for a sale? Just buy it. You'll love it. 2, hold up, wait for a sale. Wait till next year at this point. I don't know, because we just missed the sale. I had to buy it full price, and I wish I waited for a sale, but it's not going to affect my rating. And 3, don't bother. Just never buy the game. Just do something different with your money. I don't care if it's legal or illegal. Just do something else, but buy The Room VR. A Dark Matter.
All right, well then let's start with Mikey. What is your rating, man?
So, as I said earlier, with being an avid puzzle gamer and loving Myst and loving those kind of games and loving to unravel my brain to make something work in game, this game gets a solid 1 for me. Like, I just really, this was the best game to come back into VR too. As you guys know, I've been like so involved with different things that I haven't had time to game really, and then the PS5 came and all this stuff happened. This game reeled me back in, and I'm really glad that we are discussing this game right now, because this is totally my jam.
Nice. Man, when this game came out, I would have agreed with you wholeheartedly, hands down, no questions asked. I was riding real high on it, and I loved every single second of it. And to an extent, I'm still sort of there with you. The problem is that like the $30 price tag and the relative short length of the game and almost non-existent replayability drives me up the fucking wall, right? Like, I really want some DLC. I want some more rooms added to this, because $30 for something that it sounds like most people breeze through even faster than I did. It took me 5 or 6 hours or something like that, but like it sounds like everyone else is like blasting through this in like 3 or 4 hours at most. So it's really tough for me. And the other fact is that it's been on sale 3 times since it launched, and it's been out for almost exactly a year. And the most recent sale was $20 without plus and $15 with. And for me,
damn it.
Right? Yeah, that sale just ended like a week ago. Where have you been?
We had this discussion on the sidebar how we missed it.
Yeah.
Well, so the fact is that I think this is an excellent game, but I think it just needs a little bit more content, and so that's always a tough thing to judge, because I'm like, I want to tell everybody, go definitely play this thing, but like at the same time, I'm like, well, if you haven't played it yet, then you might as well wait a few more months and hope that it goes on sale again, right? So because of that, I'm giving it, I'm gonna give it a super weak 1, because I don't want to discount the quality of the game, but I do think if you haven't fucking raced out and bought it already, then what's waiting a few more months for it to go on sale again? So. That's where I stand with this, but fantastic game. Jeremy, what do you rate this thing?
So I am with you on this one, where I loved it. A solid 1. I enjoyed it so much. It like revitalized my love for point and click adventure games. It made me start thinking like, I wonder about my old library of games on my PC and wanting to like hunt down and play more. I enjoyed, you don't understand. like I went into this game several times. You know, typically when we record something, it's like I'll have to play a game for the recording, you know, and like want to get it done in a sense, you know, whether good or bad. This game was like, no, I fucking loved it. I went back in. I wanted to play it. I kept. Long story short, the $30 is definitely steep, I feel, for the game. But you know, COVID had me re-evaluating price points because $30 on Amazon gets you a movie rental now for a new release, you know, or 20. And what does that get you? 2 hours, 20 minutes to watch a movie that you'll never see again unless you rent it again. So I mean, the 3.5, 4 hours I spent on this game for the $30 price tag. Yeah, do I wish it was better? Do I wish there was more rooms because I enjoyed it so much that I wanted more? Yeah. You know, so I have trouble saying solid one, buy it right now because it's worth $30. It's definitely like I enjoyed it so much it's a one, but I'm going with the weak one due to the price point. You know, I would say this would be a solid one in my book for $20, no doubt. No doubt. But $30 is a little steep, but still an awesome game. I loved it. I thought the atmosphere of the puzzle was just the right amount of challenge. I had no jankiness with the DualShock, believe it or not. Grabbing the ropes and spinning shit and, you know, all that crap. There was never once where my hands were doing weird things. There was never once with all that finite movements that it wasn't on track. And it only crashed. The game crashed on me once. And luckily, yeah, it gave me a weird crash where the screen went like that, and I was like, "Close your eyes, Jeremy," you know. and then I restarted it, and right then and there, it was so like I was in the church, and I put a lot of time into it. So I was like, "Yeah, if this fucking makes me start over, fuck this game." And it literally started me at that point right before the crash. All the puzzles were solved, so I'm like, "Yeah, awesome." So even the crash went well.
Yeah, you are so optimistic. I love it.
But Jeremy's also a cheap motherfucker, so the fact that he's still giving this a 1, I absolutely love it, because that very seldom happens. Whenever the price is just like even $5 too high, he's like, fuck this, 2. I'm like, right?
Yeah.
But as he's saying, but it feels about $10 too high, and he's like, 1. So I really appreciate you kind of coming around and kind of taking a different perspective this time.
I'm going to make a little bit of a shady statement, but this game scratched the itch that Abduction couldn't.
Fuck Abduction. Yeah. Right? That game should have been.
Just saying.
Yes, that game. I'm still angry about Abduction, but maybe that's an episode for another time. Guys, thank you out there for hanging out with us and watching us talk about the Room VR Dark Matter. Maybe I'm not sure if that was a twist surprise ending. 3 1s, that very seldom happens. But absolutely a game that we recommend.
Ding.
Let us know what other games you want us to talk about. Obviously, we've been kind of going back because now it's me and Jeremy and not me and Des anymore. And of course, now with the addition of a Game Cat every week, we're not scared to talk about a game that we've already talked about. So feel free to shoot us some recommendations. Let us know what other games you want us to talk about. And also, if you want to be on the show, let me know. Just be aware that the last time I said that, I got 200 emails. So you're in line somewhere. I apologize. We'll work it out. I promise. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Thank you so much, Mikey. I love both of you guys almost as much as I love PSVR.
Love you too, man.
I've never done that. Is that how you do it?
I do this all the time.
It's like a triangle.
We'll see you next week.